they're totally focused on some bad words that are in the book. Like, damn it, I can't believe that the word damn would get the book jettisoned out of school on its own, but that's really where the genuine focus seemed to be.
That's Art Spiegelman, the author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel Mouse, reacting to McMinn County School District banning the book for students. The Board of Education voted unanimously to remove the book from its 8th grade English language arts curriculum. It tells the story of Art's Jewish parents living in the Auschwitz concentration camp. School board members said that they were concerned about the, quote, rough, objectionable language in Mouse. One member also took issue with the depiction of murder and suicide. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christy Calcagno. Just days after the banning of Mouse, 2 editions of the graphic novel have reached the top 20 on Amazon.com and are now in limited supply. News Channel 9's Sam Britton has more on how book sales are skyrocketing even in our area following McMinn County School Board's decision.
A store that normally sells video games, board games, and comic books was surprised when a famous actor donated copies of the graphic novel Mouse. What was even more surprising, how quickly they ran out of them. It's another day at Epikos Comics and Games for Chris Vandergriff.
I can do my diligence on Wednesday.
And while he continues to help customers find things like comic books and action figures,
we don't feel that books should be banned.
Lately, he's beginning calls for something else. Art Spiegelman's Mouse.
We've got a whole bunch of people looking for a book that we don't have.
Last week, the store posted on Facebook that it was donated copies by actor and comic book author Will Wheaton to give away to customers.
As soon as we had told a handful of people about it, they made phone calls and we didn't even get a chance to post up before they was gone.
This increase in demand comes after McMinn County Schools banned the book from its 8th grade curriculum.
It's important for them to know the atrocities that were committed in the past due to the fact that we don't want them to happen again.
It's a little concerning when citizens are trying to ban a book.
Parents like Amanda Cantrell are skeptical about the book banning.
The book is an actual account of something that happened in history.
But it's piqued her interest in the book.
I want to read it myself.
But she might have to wait.
I already know that it's almost impossible to find.
Just like the comics at Epikos, Vandergriff hopes to get copies of Mouse on the shelves soon.
As far as the free copies go, we're going to hand those out as we get them.
And he, too, is hopeful to get a copy in his hands soon.
As soon as I get a copy in that I can read, I'm going to.
That you've talked about the impact and the fear that people have had about this book. And look, it was banned in Russia for one thing, but you also talked about the idea of banning books here in the United States. And one of the things you've written is, keep your nose in a book and keep others people's noses out of which book you choose to stick your nose into.
Right, that was made as a bookmark to be given away on Banned Book Week Day in libraries. Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, if anything, my problem is staying focused on this problem because the problems are past. I mean, this is your news cycle now, but every day there's another sign that what the kids ought to be reading as well, but can't because there are probably too many big words. And I know that in that part of Tennessee, the reading level, only 30% of the students in the schools are at reading level. But I would recommend On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder, which connects the dots admirably. He's an estimable historian who wrote Bloodlands. And this best-selling pamphlet book has just come out in an illustrated edition. I didn't look through it to see if there's a body part that shouldn't be seen somewhere, and I don't remember that, but it could be with the graphics. And it's a matter of trying to not only know what happened, but connect it somehow to what's happening to us now.
Can we talk, you were talking about maybe this is a harbinger of what's to come. And you mentioned, when you were in school, maybe there wasn't much taught about the Holocaust. I think there really was more of a reckoning in the 60s and 70s about the importance of talking about it more honestly. And it seemed for decades now that was the prevailing thought, the importance of remembering so that we don't forget. What do you worry is on the horizon if there is a part of this country that cannot be learning about the Holocaust in the way it happened?
Well, I think it's already started happening. Like I said, the dog whistles abound. I think there was a moment in there where I thought Jews were honorary white people, but it seems that after coming against critical race theory as the accusation against books that deal with our history, never facing up to studying the genocide of Indians, it seems that we're back in a category of, and I say that not as a religious Jew, but as clearly a Jew of some kind, even though I don't subscribe to that notion of anyway. Just, I'm sorry, I warned people that it was 8 o'clock and I wouldn't be that articulate in the morning. All I'm saying, I guess, is that this is an issue. It's an issue that's way broader than any one group issue, although that's certainly happening. And I found out, like looking at Twitter last night, that today's Holocaust Remembrance Day, International Holocaust Remembrance Day, which adds to the poignancy, irony, and madness of this to some degree, because it's not. One would think that the word remembrance is important. And I sympathize with the teachers who very sincerely have tried to do this, and are baffled by a school board that must, on some level, have just grown up with themselves. In the statistic I read last night, which is in that county, only 30% of the students read at grade level. And I guess they were brought up by that educational system themselves.
A violent attack here at East Hamilton High isn't the first incident to have families worried. I spoke today with students, both past and present, and they are concerned.
A lot of people start standing up, and I looked over and they were just fist fighting.
A violent crime at East Hamilton High School ends with a 9th grade girl facing charges.
I just looked back over and she had pulled a knife on her.
Skylar Stewart is a student at East Hamilton High School. He watched as a 9th grade girl stabbed another classmate in the school lunchroom. Have you spoken with your parents at all about this?
Yes, I talked to them about it.
How are they feeling?
She was shocked. She didn't know what to think.
But not everyone is surprised.
Yeah, I've seen some violence happen over there, especially when I was a student there.
David Thomas went to school at Udawal High School. After experiencing major bullying, he transferred to East Hamilton, and he thinks school leaders aren't doing enough to address the bullying and violence.
I think that they would have to change some rules and safety to make it at least a little more safer for kids nowadays.
Hamilton County disciplined 85 students last year for bullying. And while this worries students, a district spokesperson says the number is an improvement.
The number of reported cases of bullying and harassment in Hamilton County schools has steadily declined since the 2015-2016 school year.
Steve DeRamus says the school system saw a high of 322 acts of bullying and violence in 2015. And while COVID likely skews the numbers, he says the cases were declining before the pandemic.
We believe that overall that this program is going to help provide a safer and more productive school environment.
Despite this, students say changes are necessary, and they remain on high alert.
You just never know, so you just got to always watch out.
And we reached out to several Hamilton County School Board members to ask them about the violent attacks and what plans they have in the future to address it. At this time, they are not ready to comment.